These are gifts that God gives by the Holy Spirit to the church. Gifts of service, that's a dinner plate or a bell, if you will, and gifts of speech. And in these baskets, I have all the different kinds of gifts that are listed in 1 Corinthians 12 and Romans 12. And the first is the gifts of speech. So if anyone speaks, they should do so as one who speaks the words of God. This week I got a gift because Grace Seminary received a grant for the proclamation project for preachers. So they gave me this free hat. You see what that says? The preacher. I thought I should preach with this hat every single Sunday. Isn't that tight, right? That's good. That's a cool hat. Do I have more authority now? I'm speaking the very words of God. I am not a preacher. I am the preacher. So I got to wear this hat. But listen, the gifts of speech in the church go well beyond the person who preaches a sermon. Well beyond the person who preaches a sermon. You look through what the Apostle Paul says, there is the gift of exhortation. Some of you are really great at encouragement. You just know what to say to cut through someone's fear and build them up. You know what to say to motivate somebody. There are those with the gift of teaching, those who know how to clearly communicate truth so it sticks with other people. There are those with knowledge. These might be your Enneagram 5 people who know way more than they possibly should, and they like to just drop a truth bomb on you or tell you, I recently heard in a podcast. All right, but these people store away knowledge, or they might have like Bible verses memorized, and they know the Bible verse to give you, the gift of knowledge. The gift of wisdom. This isn't relegated to those who have white hair or no hair. This is people who they know how life works, and they know how God's truth ties to real life. See, a lot of these speech gifts actually are so helpful in everyday life. You come to hear a sermon so we can share an event together. But what we need in our lives are the people who have wisdom and knowledge and encouragement. When I say prophecy, I don't want you to think about someone who predicts the future. I want you to think about 1 Corinthians chapter 14, verse 3. Someone who has a timely word from God of encouragement or admonition. They just know what to say, and it has an authority that came from God. That's what I mean by prophecy. There's also the gift of tongues. And when I say tongues, I don't necessarily mean someone who has a prayer language alone with God, because that's not a speech gift that edifies anyone in the church. Paul says that actually in 1 Corinthians 13. He says you can speak like this without love. It doesn't help anybody. But he says in the early church, there were people, they were speaking other languages. And they just had this, maybe some people maybe just have a gift for languages. Maybe missionaries do. Maybe that's a form of the gift of tongues. And that can be a helpful gift of speech. There's also, the gift of discernment. You hear someone talking, and they're telling you their life story. They're dumping out their problems. And as you listen to them, you kind of get at the core of the issue. And with a really great question, you know what's going on at the heart of the matter. So your gift of speech a lot of times is an active listening with a follow-up question. It's with active listening and a probing question. But it's a gift of speech. You know how to ask the right things, discernment. Or you can hear what God's saying to a group and you push them in that direction. We need people with these gifts. If anyone speaks, they should do so as one who speaks the very words of God. So that's the list of gifts that fit into this box of speech.